Now, I don't know what, kind of degree protection you get when you stack them on top of one another like we're about to do, but I guess we'll see once this cold spell is over. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? I hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. It is Thursday, December 22nd here in South Georgia. Everybody here is preparing for this Arctic blast that's about to hit us. Actually doesn't feel too bad out here today. In fact, I may shed this jacket in a little bit. It's only 50 degrees today. Yesterday it was 50 degrees and it was brutal out here. Misting, wind, really, really cold. But not too bad today. Going to get worse tonight and then the next few days. So over the last week and a half, we've been making some preparations for this cold spell, this kind of once in a decade or two cold spell we're getting. Been harvesting some stuff, been covering a few things, and today we need to make our final preparation, so I figured I'd take you guys along as we do all that today. So as we go along here and try to protect some of this stuff, we'll talk about what we're going to try to protect, what we think is going to be okay, and what we're just kind of crossing our fingers on. So for our allium plot here, there's really not a whole lot we can do because it's just too much to try and cover. We've got our garlic over here, we've got straw on it, and that should help a little bit. I think the garlic would be just fine. The onions, like I said, there's too many to cover. We just want to try and keep the soil moist, which it is because we've been getting, some misty weather the last few days. Now, what's the threshold temperature for onions? I don't really know what that number is. I have seen onions down here take temperatures down to 17 degrees and recover just fine. It all depends on how warm it gets later that day. If we can get back into the 40s after getting down to 17, 18, or 19, I think they'll recover just fine. If we stay freezing for 24 hours, we might could have some problems. And then for our in-ground brassica plot that's behind that onion plot, we've got broccoli over here. We harvested most of that several videos ago. If it kills those plants, it kills them. We got a good bit of broccoli off those 2 rows. Our cauliflower here, still wrapped pretty tight. Can't see any heads popping through there. So we'll take a chance on that. And the Brussels sprouts, I think, will be just fine. They love the cold. Now the cabbage here is going to be questionable because we've got some heads forming, probably not as big as they're going to get, but if it gets cold enough it could cause them to crack and split. This megaton cabbage here, I don't think we need to harvest it quite yet. It's still got a little ways to go. Now some of this Bravo cabbage here, especially like that one right there, I might need to get. Now I do think most of these cabbage heads in here, including this one, still have a little bit of sizing up to do, but we'll go ahead and cut this one. May enjoy this one for supper tonight. Peel back some of these leaves. I'll give those to the chickens in a minute. That's not a bad head of cabbage there. Probably a little smaller than a volleyball. Nothing wrong with that at all. Now I usually don't like to harvest these cabbage heads wet. I will if I have to, but I don't like to. This one here is kind of wet because it's been misty the last few days. That'll be all right because we'll probably enjoy this one tonight. But as far as any of the others out there that could be cut, I'll probably wait till tomorrow. Hopefully things dry out a little bit more and I'll go through there and salvage what I can, what's close to being ready, and they'll store a lot better in the fridge if they're dry and not dripping like this one is. So we may do a little more harvesting over there tomorrow. We're not going to cover any of that stuff, just going to let it ride. Now for these peppers here that we're trying to overwinter, we have some covering on them already. We've got some Agribon AG19, which is supposed to give it, 4, maybe 5 degrees of frost protection, but I don't think that's going to be quite enough. So earlier in the week I got this in the mail. This is the AG30, which is a little thicker than the AG19. Got a 50-foot long roll of it because I knew I was probably going to need it. Now I could have got a roll of the AG50, which is even thicker than this AG30, but I got to thinking I'm probably never really going to need that AG50, maybe once in a decade like this weekend. So what I was thinking, I already have the AG19 on there. I'll put some of this on top and maybe that'll give me the same effect as the AG50. I could use this AG30 once in a blue moon whereas I probably wouldn't use the AG50 that much. Most of the time the AG19 is enough. Now, I don't know what, kind of degree protection you get when you stack them on top of one another like we're about to do, but I guess we'll see once this cold spell is over. So we're going to leave this AG19 right where it is. I'm going to roll out this AG30, cut it to length, cut me 30 foot of it, and we're going to sit it right on top of there, then put our bricks on top of it. All right, that was easy enough. Only took a few minutes there. And we still have approximately, 15 to 20 feet or so left. Maybe we can use in our raised bed plot over there in a minute. Now, I have seen people putting Christmas lights under these tunnels, and supposedly that works pretty well. I'm a good ways from a power source out here. I'd need a 200-foot extension cord or so. So we're just going to roll with the double wrapping and see how that goes. So that takes care of 2 of our 6 plots out here, the onion plot and the in-ground brassica plot. Before we get over there to the raised beds, let's address these 3 plots that have cover crops on them right now. So we got our girls on this plot where we have the overwintering mix planted. You can see here on their second lap around, they're working it down pretty dang good there. They're eating a lot more of that rye and barley this go around, and I'm not mad about them wearing it out a little bit. The more they mow it down and wear it out, the less plot prep I got to do when I want to turn around and plant something in here in the next month or so. Now, as far as the chickens go, I'm not worried about them a whole lot. They've got that area up in there where they can get in there and stay kind of warm. I may put a blanket over the top of it. We'll just have to see which direction the wind is blowing. If the wind is blowing right into this thing, I'll definitely put a blanket on it. If it's coming in from the side and they're protected there with that little, wooden hutch up top, I think they'll be okay. And then as far as the mix here goes, I think we'll probably lose a few components of this mix. 19 degrees is definitely going to kill that rapeseed there, may kill a few other things out there. The rye and the barley should be fine. So even if we lose a few components of the mix, we should still have plenty of green growth out here for them to continue grazing. Now on this plot we have the overwintering mix planted as well, but we also emptied out the fridge with a bunch of extra cover crop seed we had. Got some tillage radish in there, and that's probably going to be toast when it gets down to 19 degrees. So we may lose some of this right here, but there's enough growth out there. Even if we lose some of it, I think it will eventually fill in and be well suited for grazing. Same thing right here where we have more overwintering mix planted. Might lose a little bit of this, but man, we've got a dense carpet on this plot here. It's just beautiful, and this is going to be ready to graze whenever the chickens finish their second lap on the plot they're on now. They may not have as much rapeseed to eat. There'll be plenty of other stuff out here for them to eat. Now over here to the raised bed plot. Well, there's definitely some stuff I want to cover, but there's also some stuff we're just going to let ride. So for our spinach bed here, which looks like it needs a little shot of fertilizer, not really worried about this. I think the spinach will be just fine. It's usually pretty cold hardy. So we're not going to cover that, just going to make sure the soil's moist. Now in this bed, we've got parsley and celery. I think the parsley would probably make it. I'm not sure the celery would. So I've already put some hoops in place here. I've got 2 hoops kind of running perpendicular to each other. That was kind of the best way I could figure out how to do this. So we're going to cover this one in just a second. The other round one we're going to cover is this one right here that has some beets and chard in it. Going to kind of go with the same design right there. I don't think this stuff is going to like 19 degrees a whole lot, especially the beets. So we definitely need to cover this one as well. This one over here, we've got the leeks, and we've got our hardneck garlic that's just starting to pop. You can see a few of them popping through the soil there. I'll probably put some straw on this later today. Not going to cover this, but probably going to insulate it with a little straw. So let's get some of that AG30 we have left over from using on our peppers over there. Let's cover these two round ones and see what it looks like. Now one thing I think I will do is I'm covering some of these raised beds is kind of trim off some of this foliage here that's hanging over the side. Just make it easier to put the covering over it. Not going to be enough here for a meal. I'm just going to put it all in a bucket, probably feed it to the chickens. Just going to get a few of these that are hanging over the side a little bit. Then we'll take our fabric and kind of drape it over here. See how much we need. I don't want to use more than I need because we don't have a whole lot of this stuff. Just kind of see how much we need and we'll cut it to length. Hold everything down, keep it kind of nice and tight. Still got a little bit of vegetation touching the edge, but if we only lose just a few plants on the edge, that'd be better than losing it all. Doesn't look perfect, doesn't look beautiful, but I think it'll work. All right, so we got the celery covered just like we did the beets and chard there, and that takes care of everything in this front row of round beds besides putting some straw on that garlic tomorrow. Still got some of that AG30 left, and I think we're gonna need it in the back, so that's a good thing. Let's move on to these long skinny beds. So we got parsnips right here. Not really worried about those a whole lot. These that just popped may get bit back. I don't know, we'll just have to see. But I'm not gonna do anything with these. We're just gonna let those ride. Same thing with these two long skinny beds of carrots right here. They may get burnt back a little bit, but I think they'll be just fine. Now this bed right here is one we covered several videos ago. We've got some flowers underneath there, some basil, cilantro, and dill, and we've got AG19 on that. Probably not going to be enough for this bed, but I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to leave it. If what's underneath there dies, it dies. We'll plant something else there. Go dogs. Over here, not going to be worried about the kale. We harvested most of it recently. Might get some leaves burnt back there, but it won't be many leaves. I don't think these plants are going to get killed by this cold weather. Might just ruin those leaves we have out there, but it should continue to produce some more. Same thing with the collards here. I could harvest a few more off these, but I'm not worried about the collards. I think they'll be just fine too. Now I am a little bit worried about some of this stuff in these taller beds, especially that lettuce in the middle there. And you can see I've already got some hoops in place. Now these hoops are different than those ones we use on those little round raised beds. These are some I bought a while back because I figured I might need them, and I do kind of like these. They come with these connectors and they have straight pieces and curved pieces, so you can kind of build the hoops however you need them. If you need them to be taller, you can build them to be taller. If you need them to be longer, you can build them to be longer. So I built out these right here, which I think are going to work perfect for these tall raised beds. So in this first tall bed, I think these rutabagas might be okay. The leaves might get burnt back a little bit, but man, this purple, red cabbage, whatever you want to call it, is just so pretty. I would hate to lose this stuff, and we're still a ways away from making heads on this. Much like we did with the chard and beet bed though, I'm going to trim up some of the stuff on the edges here just to make it easier to get the fabric over everything. I may end up compromising a little bit of growth on this cabbage, but it'll be all right, and I think the chickens will really enjoy some of those. All right, so we got that one covered, and I decided to give these clips a try on this one, and I don't know why I haven't used these things sooner. They sure make things a lot easier as far as getting things tight across the top. Now I went with the AG19 here because I didn't have enough AG30 to do all these up here, and I was kind of prioritizing things, which is most cold tolerant, which is not. I think the cabbage and the rutabagas are more cold tolerant than the lettuce and the mustard over there. So we did AG19 right here, save a little bit of AG30 maybe for one of these taller ones. Now on our lettuce here, I could go ahead and harvest the rest of this bed, and this stuff would probably keep in the fridge for a week or two, but I'm just not ready to harvest it all yet. It's holding so well out here, and I'm just enjoying being able to walk out here and grab me a head when I want it. I definitely think the oak leaf lettuce there has a little more time to grow. It needs to get a little bit bigger. The remains, you know, they're pretty close to acceptable size, but I just don't want to cut all this yet, so we're going to cover this one too. All right, so now we got our lettuce covered, and that should fare pretty well under there. And I feel like every time I do this, I get a little bit better at it. So this one here looks a little bit better than that one, which looks a lot better than those way over there. And my memory could be all wrong here, but I feel like I've seen lettuce take temperatures down to 26, maybe 25 down here before. It just depends on how much moisture is in the air. So underneath there, giving it 4 or 5 degrees of protection, I think we should still have some good looking lettuce once all this is passed. And that leads us to our last bed here, where we have some pak choi and we got some mustard that we cut a week or so ago. Now I'm not going to do anything with this bed today. I do have the hoops in place. Not going to cover it quite yet. Need to do some harvesting here with this pak choi, but it's still a little wet. Don't want to harvest it wet. Going to wait, hopefully let the wind pick up, let it dry it out a little bit, come out here tomorrow before it gets real cold. Cut some of this, at least cut that's along the edge of the bed there. Going to cut some of this, cut the bigger heads, and then we'll cover this one just like we did those others. Because even though this mustard looks kind of pitiful right now, this stuff will grow back again, and I would like to harvest it a few more times. So I feel a lot better about the situation now. We got a nice little bucket of snacks here for our chickens, and got most things taken care of out here. Tomorrow, still need to come out here, probably get a few more heads of this beautiful cabbage, put a little bit of straw on my garlic, cover that last raised bed, but for the most part, we've got it whooped. And then we'll just wait and see what happens. Now I'm sure we're gonna lose a few things, but if we can just minimize the damage and not lose a lot of things, then that'll be great. And if you're a relatively new gardener out there and you're growing through the winter for the first time, don't let this year discourage you. Like I said, this is kind of a once in a decade, once every 20 years kind of thing. And so if you lost a bunch of stuff during this cold spell, don't get down about it. This doesn't happen every year. Usually growing through the winter is much easier than this. And keep trying it, because these months are a great time to grow your own food. We just have to battle with a rogue winter storm every now and then. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and let me know in the comments below how everything in your garden fared through the winter storm. I think by the time this video airs, it will have passed and probably be back 72 degrees here, or at least close to it. So let me know how your garden did in the comments below. As always, you can find our affiliate links in the description below, so links to any of the products we used in the video, and our affiliate partners got some coupon codes for some of those companies, so you can take advantage of those discounts. Don't forget to go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where we've got hats, shirts, our garden blog, recipes, all kind of good stuff over there. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification button, like, and share, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.
Oh, farewell, by the beauty of your life.